Welcome back to Velo, Ohio, and welcome to May 2nd on the Roberts Pass Trail as part of the overall larger Camp Chase Trail and as part of the larger overall Ohio to Erie Trail connecting Cincinnati to Cleveland. As always, my name is Andy Hampston. Not quite, but I do covet the 7-Eleven jersey. My wife and I, many years ago, hopefully not too many, a few years ago, many years ago, we went to Singapore for our honeymoon, and the one thing that always reminded me of the United States and Singapore were the copious amounts of 7-Elevens over there, and I thought I got to get me one of those Andy Hampston jerseys. I don't even mind that it's a knockoff because I think it's hard to go into your local bike shop at this point and order up a 7-Eleven jersey. What am I doing here? Well, I'm less than 2 weeks removed from my priority race of the year. It is a USA Triathlon National Championship event, but I will keep the discipline a secret until the actual race video. And I guess it's the water bottles, gubbins, bags championship of the world. I'm just trying to do a little bit of C- level scientific testing to figure out if any of these water bottles, bags, or other are going to give me any significant, statistically significant aero advantage on the day. I don't think that any of these things is going to give me any more than a watt or two, but I am going to still try to figure out if any of them are going to be advantageous for me. So as you can see, I've got about 4 miles of uninterrupted trail and low traffic trail as well for me to do a 4-mile run and back. And I've got it all, the Quintana-Roo, the 2011 Quintana-Roo, I've got it all loaded up to the gills right now, and I'm just slowly going to be removing parts, beginning with most fore, working to most aft, because obviously that's the direction that the wind will be hitting things. I've actually tested that water bottle between the chest before, and I've tested the Aero bag behind the stem before. They do test a little bit faster, so I'm not going to worry about removing those today, but they do just help to fill some of that negative space. Last year at the Midwest Time Trial Championships, the 6-hour, I was using the speed fill and I was running a bottle up to the handlebars for hydration, and I mean, it's really not the most aero thing in the world with that giant cap sticking out, but I do just want to see if filling up that space provides any aerodynamic advantage. USA Triathlon is cracking down on fairings at this point. They don't allow things like, you know, putting a water bottle in your jersey, anything that's non-structural and is not a water bottle connected to your bike, and it has to be a certain shape and size and all these other rules. So I'm not taking chances with anything that's not specifically carrying equipment or could be considered a water bottle, even if I'll leave it empty on the day. Interestingly, I've been running a disc cover on my rear wheel for, I don't know, a dozen years at this point, and that's never been an issue. But if that's an issue on race day, I suppose I can always get a chain whip and cassette tool and just take it off. But we've got like 10-mile-an-hour winds today, but one of the advantages of this corridor is that it is lined with trees on both sides. So if anything, I'd say it cuts the wind speed in half and maybe makes it a little bit more turbulent, which actually would be more like real-world conditions. It's going to be a cross head on the way out, then a cross tail on the way back. I'm going to do a run in each direction holding 200 watts, which is not going to be race power, but I did like zone 5 intervals yesterday, and I'm not really looking forward to doing race power. So I think I'm going to do about 4 to 5 different configurations, so each will have about 8 miles to look at. We'll crunch the numbers when we get back, see if there's any difference, and just see if we can figure out what might be fastest for me on race day. All right, here we go. Run 1. So pretty good run 1. I think I averaged about 200 watts. I have removed the speed fill bottle and put one of these Elite Chrono CX RDX bottles in there. I guess the idea being that while the speed fill bottle did fill up more negative space, yeah, I don't know how slippery it is with a giant nozzle. So at least this Aero bottle is somewhat Aero shaped, even though it takes up less space. Do another run and see what kind of results we get. I did make a little mistake at the intro of the video. The stretch of trail here is actually 2.25 miles long, so the round trip is closer to 4 miles. I've been able to do about 2.2 miles each way. Anyway, I don't think that'll make too much of a difference. So now we're gonna have just a naked main triangle to the frame, which might actually be an advantage because this is how the bike was designed. It's not a camtail, you know, which is meant to shield water bottles. It actually comes to a point like an airfoil. So with the actual original design in mind, this could actually be the fastest. So I suppose what we're testing now is the bottle situation at the rear of the bike. And this has really gone pretty much off the rails at Kona at this point. People putting, you know, 2 bottles, 4 bottles behind their butt. The idea being that as the air comes down off your back, it's going to be fairly dirty at that point. So every little swirl of vortex that's exiting your back is a little bit of a suction, making you go more slowly. So having something back there behind your butt is serving to recollect the air into one, I don't know, single stream as close as you can get it, so that you have fewer vortices. Another run. Let's see if it's any better. So then the time has come for the last run of the day. This is as naked as the Quintana-Roo will get today. I do plan to leave this storage box on the back because I am going to take a spare inner tube with tire levers, maybe a multi-tool, maybe CO2, or maybe my electric pump, whatever I think makes the most sense on the day. I've never actually used one of these before, and it is, you know, a generic model, but it seems to integrate pretty well into the bike. I'd be curious to know if the bike is faster with that or without it, and I suppose I could find that out today, but I'm sort of over this testing. I'm also curious how many watts the vinyl Venom stickers make to the bike. Probably just an attitude. So one more run, we'll take a look at the numbers, and just like high school science class for me, congratulations on a job done. So that is it, and who knows what we're going to see. I mean, the reality with this type of testing is that even like the wrinkles in my shirt could make more of a difference from run to run. That last lap back, the wind felt oppressively strange, where I should have had a tailwind. So who knows? If the data is garbage, or if it's just too close that it doesn't make a difference, my intuition would be that the naked center triangle with the bottle in the back and the storage box is what I'll run on race day. If I don't really have any good data myself, sometimes you can look to the pros and just have a little bit of trust that they've actually done the testing, because everybody knows that 19mm tires are the fastest, at least in 1978. But anyway, let's see what we see. Alrighty, so results time. Back in the office here on the next day, and like I said in the video, it's not actually a 4-mile stretch of road. Each run down was about 2.17 miles, so that gave us, you know, nearly 4.5 miles with each setup. I had initially planned to average about 200 watts, and after the first run I had the feeling that I was a little bit closer to 205, so that's where I aimed my subsequent runs, was to try to shoot for about 205. Normalized power, the least amount of watts that I did on a run was 204, and then the most that I did was 208. So quickly just consulting the internet, CDA calculators and ChatGPT a little bit, I normalized all of the average mile per hour to 205 watts. So it looks like the difference between 2 watts at about 205 watts, if you assume that I have a CDA of about 0.225 or something like that, you know, basically a good amateur position but a poor world tour position, 2 watts is going to cost you about 0.1 mile per hour at those speeds. So if we assume that all runs were done at 205, the first run, that would be with all of the attachments, you know, full gubbins, full bottles, with that speed fill in the main triangle. It was 23.25 miles an hour on the way out, and then 22.25 miles per hour on the way back. So an average of 22.75 miles per hour. I'm going to flash these up on screen for you so that you don't have to try to keep them memorized. Second setup, when we replace the speed fill bottle with the Aero water bottle in the main triangle, on the run out, 23.35 miles an hour. On the way back, 22.3 miles an hour. So an average of 22.82 miles per hour, slightly faster, about a tenth of a mile per hour, not quite. Run number 4, that's with the empty frame main triangle. On the way out, we had 23.35 miles an hour, and then on the way back, 22.35. So an increase in speed from 22.82 to 22.85, a pretty marginal difference. I guess for one thing, that goes to show you that the bottle isn't speeding you up, but if you need the hydration, that Aero bottle is really not slowing you down. On the last run, where we took the bottle off, that was sitting right behind my posterior. The run on the way out, 23.55 miles an hour. The run on the way back, 22.3, for an average speed of 22.93. So what do we learn from all that? Well, all of my attempts to make the bike faster by putting stuff on it actually made the bike slower. It doesn't seem that it costs you a lot to put it on there. We're talking tenths of a mile per hour. If you need that much hydration, it seems like it's well worth it to have it on the bike. Since this race is only going to be about an hour's worth of cycling, I'm going to have that between the arms bottle filled up, but I really don't need the extra hassle of having those bottles. I would keep that bottle on the back just for the theoretical perceived Aero benefits, but one thing that it's going to make me do is it's going to require me to lift my leg higher over the back of the bike in transition, getting on and off the bike, and I just don't need the stress or anxiety of that. Overall, seeing how closely these runs were grouped together, it gives me a little bit of confidence in the reliability of doing testing like that. I have done it on the gravel bike before. I've never actually used that corridor, but it does encourage me to do some more runs and, you know, test high hands, test low hands, test different helmets. I think that there's actually some learning to be done there. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the quick C- level science. Big race coming up in just about 10 days here, so stay tuned for that one. Thanks a lot.